All right, some quick points before we begin. If you're watching the video but you're not listening to the words, you're missing out on subtle things that can clarify the material. I do a lot of talking that goes in between the numbers that you see me write, and if you're not catching some of the things I say, then it does kind of keep you from being as effective as you can be. If you're not taking notes, even if you watch the video, then I cannot help you when you ask questions about homework, because one of the things I might ask you when you're having major issues is I might say, hey, show me your notes real quick so I can see what you wrote down, because everything that I'm pretty much showing you in class is going to be on your quizzes, your tests, your assessments. And so if you're not taking the notes, and if the notes are there to help you with the homework and the stuff that's on there, then I really can't jump in and do that. My help is free and pretty much unlimited. You can email me. You can use the number that I give you to text on Canvas. And I think that right now my typical response time is about 10 minutes. If you email me and I'm out at home or whatever, unless it's a certain time, of course. But again, all I ask is that you do your best to prepare by watching the video, listening to the words, and taking notes. It's best if you watch the video at home. I can't make this be a flipped classroom. But what you should be doing if you want to make the most out of this year is watching the video at home. So I know Monday we should have taken a test, and Tuesday is when class started, but I know the videos are up before Monday. That Monday night you want to watch this first video, and then that way you take your notes, you kind of start working on the Math Excel that night, and you should automatically bump into issues. If anything you get stuck on, guess what? You don't have to ask your parents at home. You can then bring that, and you can use that 50 minutes in class, bring up any questions you want, and bother me as much as you need. And I don't mean bother, but I'm saying some people think that you asking questions is bothering me. It's not, but you could bother me as much as you want to. Ask as many questions as you need in class. That's what I actually use class time for. And then 4, if you allow yourself to fall behind, for some reason you choose not to watch videos at the times I recommend that you do it, because it's just a recommendation, then when things go wrong, make sure you're ready to take all the blame. Don't go blaming me and saying, hey, well, he's not teaching right and he's not doing this and that. If you're not watching videos and keeping up with the pace, then you're stacking topics on top of topics, and then you're not getting a chance to digest it. It's hard enough as it is to kind of do this stuff as a 6-weight student, but if you allow yourself to fall behind, I don't mean like 1 or 2 lessons, but I've had students fall behind like 7 or 8 lessons, and then they think they can just come back and make it, and they typically don't. So make sure you keep those things in mind. I'm probably going to repeat this sheet for the first few worksheets just to make sure that we are clear on the expectation in terms of what you should be doing. But outside of that, let me get set for a second. This chapter here is not the most important chapter, and again, don't take that the wrong way. I'm sure that's going to burn me when somebody messes up and says, well, he said it wasn't important. What I mean by that is there's not a lot of test questions on the actual order of operations. Now, the process will be there, but the actual order of operations is just pretty much a review, and the pace is going to get interesting. Now, here's the thing. Order of operations is typically viewed something like this. And there are a few issues with your typical lessons, and here's what it is. Those of you who were taught this way, and you see this, the first thing you think is subtraction, addition, so addition should go first, so you do the 4 plus 3 first. Let me do that over here. And so and again, don't write this yet, but 6 minus 7, which of course is -1. Other students say, well, no, you're not supposed to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and do the subtraction, because 6 minus 4 is 2, and 2 plus 3 is 5. The order of operations is like a judge. The order of operations is inside this calculator, which means that once I make this visible, which I don't know if it'll be visible because I didn't turn on my light. But anyway, if I type 6 minus 4 plus 3, this is going to tell me which one is correct, and the correct answer is 5. And the reason 5 is right is because of the main thing you need to know for the rest of your life, because it's probably not going to be taught again, because the order of operations should be viewed more like this. Addition, subtraction are on the same level. They'd be like students in a lunch line. It doesn't matter, or the only way you figure out who gets fed first is who's in line first. Multiplication, division are also together on the same level. These would be like teachers in a lunch line, which means, as you know, teachers can jump in front of students, but a teacher cannot jump in front of another teacher. These two are still powerful as they are, but the key point is you do not just jump one over the other. So the reason this is wrong is because you jumped over the subtraction to do addition, and so it's wrong. Same thing here. If you see a problem like this, the first thing people want to do is say, hey, that's a parentheses, and that's not a parentheses. That's just multiplication. Also, if you just think, hey, multiplication is above division, then you end up doing 8 divided by 8, which is 1. But the answer is not 1. 8 divided by 4 goes first. 2 times 2 is 4. That is your answer. So you need to be careful with that stuff whenever you're doing that, because those are things that people mess up on, because a lot of middle school teachers, not for any other reason than typically they're not as detailed on their math prep. Most of them. There are some good ones that actually do, but most of them aren't as detailed on their math prep because they didn't have to go as far. They don't really pay attention to that small, subtle thing, and that small, subtle adjustment will cause you issues. It is necessary in the process of evaluating expressions with variables. You'll have to substitute and perform the order of operations. The key thing you need to know, there's no calculators allowed on the Chapter 1 test. So if you are, I won't say cheating, but if you're using your calculator on your phone, or you're being slick about using a calculator on a computer, I'm not going to say anything. But when you take that test, if you're messing up because you haven't practiced your numbers like you're supposed to, because you didn't want to struggle when you were supposed to, that's on you. So be careful. First thing I would do when I'm substituting, because we know this is substitution, is to make sure you substitute with parentheses at all times. So anywhere you see that variable, make sure you change that variable with a parentheses. What this does for me is it keeps it organized, and it keeps things, funny things, from happening. For example, I'll just show you real quick. If you type -5 squared, that is a different answer than if you type -5 in parentheses squared. And that small subtle change will cost you everything. Now after this test, you'll be able to use calculators, but the key thing is you don't want to mess that up right now. Based off of order of operations, there is no parentheses, although you see parentheses. So this, if you need to write it every time, go ahead and write it. There are no parentheses, but there is an exponent, so we'll deal with that. So 5 squared, -5 squared is the same as -5 times -5, which is actually 25, not -25. So that turns to 3 times 25 minus 4 times -5 plus 2. Now, you'll see it at the end of the part, but you are now high enough in terms of your practice that you can probably get that this subtraction sign breaks this into two separate things. So if you wanted to, you could actually do 3 times 25 and 4 times -4 times -5 at the same time. It is safer, which I'm going to do, if you just go ahead and work one item out at a time. That turns into 75 minus that. Here that is, be careful, because remember that's a -4 times a -5, which is positive 20. And then from there it's all addition, so you simply go from there and finish off with 97. Now what you can use your calculator for, if you want to, because I'm not going to hide them from you, is you can check yourself like that. So -5 squared, knowing me, I probably messed up. I do that a lot. There we go, I got it right, 97. This one here is tricky, because what people will do is they'll put the two negatives together, but you want to make sure you put your negative, then your parentheses, -3 squared minus 3 times -3 minus 8. And once again, there are no parentheses. Are there exponents? Yes, we'll turn that. Remember, -3 squared is going to be a positive 9. From there, I'm going to deal with any multiplication. This is actually, to me, just -9, which I'll go ahead and do that now. And it doesn't hurt to just write one thing and be safe. But again, be careful, and I'm doing this on purpose because chances are on a standardized test or on your test, you're going to see a lot of negatives matched up with negatives, which makes positive 9. That should be -9 plus 9 minus 8. And then because this is all addition subtraction, you put the front two together, which makes 0 minus 8 or -8. What should you be writing down on your notes? Any explanations that I say that make sense, or any problems, any examples I do, because these examples are probably going to be on your homework, as I said, and they will help you. And if you don't have these examples written and you come and ask for help, I'm probably going to say go back to the video and then watch this example again, because I'm teaching it to you now. And if you're not using it when I'm teaching it to you on the video, well, why do I need to teach you live if it's right there where you can listen and pay attention to it? One more before I believe before we get to the end of this. I know I said substitute with parentheses, but as you are getting better, there's certain times I don't think it makes sense to put a parentheses inside of a parentheses, plus it's just going to be subtracted, so I'm not going to use it there. I'm also not going to use it here because there's really no need to. I am going to use it here because it could be confused. I'm going to deal with all parentheses at the same time. So that's a parentheses, and that is, so I'm going to turn this into 4 times -1 minus 4 times 6 over 5 times 3 plus 2. And I believe if you see this question on your Math Excel, it's going to have you follow this, which is why when people come up and say, well, I don't know how to do it, I'm going to say, show me your notes. And I'm going to say, these are the exact steps that you want to follow. Now I'm going to do all of the multiplications. So what I mean is this. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Here's a minus, which breaks this into another part. Negative 4 and 6 make negative 24. 5 times 3 makes 15 plus 2. From there, I can simplify the top and bottom. This is negative 28. This is 17. I don't know if I got the right answer, but let's check. Again, this is what the calculators are for. It's not for us to, I won't say cheat, but it's not for us to be slick and get the answer. It's for us to make sure that we got the right answer. My calculator is jacked up because I lost all my labels. Anyway, 4 parentheses 3 minus 4 close minus 4 parentheses 3 plus 3 all over 5 times 3 plus 2. Here's the beauty of learning how to do this the right way. As long as you type what you should, you'll get the right answer and see it. There's your negative 28 over 17, which is correct. Key to order of operations is as follows. You can perform all parentheses steps at once, as long as they're separated. So I won't say you can do all steps at once, but I would say that if you have one step inside the parentheses and then one step inside of a different parentheses, you can do that. You can take care of all your, after your parentheses are gone, you can take care of all your exponent steps at once to kind of save some stuff, to save some steps. Be sure to do multiplication and division based on who's first. Be sure to do addition, subtraction based on who's first. But again, if it's 6 times 3 plus 2 times 1, these two are separated by a plus sign, which means you actually could do this to be 18 plus 2 because that plus sign would go last anyway. But if it's 6 times 3 divided or times 2 divided by 4, this is all the same level. So you do want to go this way, which of course isn't going to make sense because I'm sure I screwed it up. And then this way, which is 36. Hey, it actually worked. But the difference is if there's a plus or minus sign like there was right here, even though we see it as a negative 4 or minus, but that plus or minus, it separates it into two parts, so you can use that too. But outside of that, then make sure you do your addition and subtraction based on who's first. Make sure you answer the question that is about to pop up at the very end of your Edpuzzle part. That gets you 100% for your video, and that is actually 15% of your grade. So literally 15% of your grade is just watching the video and clicking at OK, because that's all you gotta do is click OK. But even if you don't click OK and miss it, I still give you credit for getting to the end. Outside of that, make sure you ask me for any help you need and keep up with the information, and don't allow yourself to fall behind. Good luck. Talk to you later.